Hey, hello everybody. This is UnPontificated. My name is Vuyo. And it's a short one today, guys. Not feeling too well today. Just want to kind of make an appearance. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on. I'm sure you've all heard. Pope Francis has died. A little bit of a take on that. And then, of course, here in Canada, we have the last week of the election. We go to the vote next Monday. Advanced polling has opened to record numbers, which is quite interesting. And yeah, we had the election debates this past week. And we had the French and the English, and I thought they were very interesting. I thought Polyev was kind of so-so in the French debate, didn't really do much, but I thought he killed it in the English debate. I think he did really well there. And we'll see how the polls have responded, if at all. And yeah, just going from there. So yeah, let's see what is up. So let's start here. What the latest federal polls are saying as of February 21, yesterday. We've got liaison strategies here, talking about the Liberals being at 43, with the Conservatives 37, NDP 9, and of course the Bloc at 6 and 2 for the Greens. Main Street has always shown kind of a neck and neck here with Liberals and Conservatives, and that doesn't seem to have changed even after the debates. And then, of course, Nanos Global Mail here with their 44-36. So you'll see some of the well, the polls that we hear about mostly are showing this kind of 43-37 or 36, with Main Street being kind of the only one that of these main ones that we see showing kind of a neck and neck type things. So yeah, as I've showed on a previous video, you can see that a lot of these polls seem to be showing the people who are picking up the phone or taking these surveys are people in the 60 plus range. And those in the 60 plus are simply voting more liberals. And I think they're voting more liberal because they're living more in fear than in positive hope. Those people who seem to fear Trump and his tariffs and 51st state rhetoric seem to be wanting to vote liberal. And those who are more in the hopeful, hope for Canada to change things around, to lower prices, to build pipelines, and Canada to stand on its own 2 feet, are more likely to vote conservative. And they are less likely to answer those surveys. So I think the real vote that will happen on the 28th, on Monday, will be the real one that will count. And we'll see how that goes. I don't know if you guys watched any of the debates, but I just want to show a clip of one of the moments that I thought Pierre was really strong.
Mr. Carney, you claim that you want our country to respond with strength, but after the last decade, half of which time you've been Justin Trudeau's economic advisor, our economy is weaker than ever before. It's been the worst growth in the G7. We've lost $500 billion of investment south of the border. You supported blocking pipelines in Canada that gave Donald Trump and the U.S. a near monopoly over our energy. And now you want to keep in place Bill C-69, the liberal no new development law that blocks us from shipping our resources overseas. How could you possibly think it's a good idea to give the Americans a continued monopoly on our energy projects when you have seen how much these liberal policies have weakened our country over the last decade? Well, Mr. Carney refused to answer the question about pipelines. Just the other day, he said that he doesn't necessarily think we need to build pipelines. Let me tell you what that means. Right now, the Americans get 97% of our oil, 100% of our natural gas exports at big discounts. We have to send Canadian oil from Western Canada through the States just to get it back to Quebec because we don't have a pipeline. And now there's this law, Liberal Law C-69, which effectively bans pipelines. The 14 biggest energy and resource companies say it has to go if we're ever going to build another project. And I asked Mr. Carney why he would keep in place this anti-pipeline law that effectively empowers Donald Trump to have a total monopoly on our single biggest export. Why would you not repeal this liberal law? Isn't it because you are exactly in the same line as Justin Trudeau and the rest of the Liberal team that is now making up your cabinet?
Let's get a response.
Well, let me pick up a couple of points that have been made. The first thing I did as Prime Minister was to cut the carbon tax. That's the first thing. Second thing is made a commitment that all proceeds from our tariffs will go to workers and those companies most affected. There were several points raised.
Nothing so far.
If I may, Mr. Steve, if I may address, I'm trying to do it quickly because several points raised.
Okay, so first of all, excuse me. First of all, Mark Carney, you cut the consumer carbon tax. You didn't cut all the carbon tax. So we're still. It's nice to see the prices in the gas pumps, are certainly lower. You know, I hope people aren't fooled by those low pre-election prices that are going to go up again, no doubt, after the election, should Mark Carney win. Don't be fooled, guys. It's a pre-election ploy. Anyway, I thought Pierre looked quite strong there and really attacked Mark Carney. Mark Carney looked kind of a little bit gun shy, a little bit scared. I don't know why people, sometimes people are saying he looks poised and, polished and prime ministerial. I think I've said that myself, but I've come to think that, he just doesn't want to make a mistake. So he's, thinking really carefully. And in the meantime, if he gets in, his true colors will shine through. Okay, advanced polls have opened.
Canada says nearly 2 million people showed up on the first day of advanced voting, a record turnout. Some early voters in Vancouver say it's an important election.
Yeah, our country is in a state where people need to come together.
Everything's just such a mess all over the world that you don't want it to touch your community as badly, and I think it's really important just to vote so that we can have leaders that can speak for us.
You think?
Yes, we can have leaders that can speak for us. And I think that's Pierre. So yeah, 2 million in the first day. It'll be interesting to see what the total is for the advanced polling in Canada. No doubt going to be a record advanced polling. I think it helped that the advanced polling was over the long weekend, so people could go and vote. So it helps, when it makes a case for having a statutory holiday on voting day, and that people don't have to go to work because it becomes a stat day, so they can go and vote. Maybe voting would be more people will turn out to vote, even though there is the law that you have to allow people to vote during some of their work day or whatever day they're working. They have to have a time to go and vote. So I think we'll just close it, make it a stat day, and people will vote. That'll be good. I thought this was interesting from our friends at Moose on the Loose. Well, this was a CTV commentator, Lydia Millian, talking about Mark Carney's plan and how it's been costed and all that. Let's see what he's saying.
Carney getting blasted on all fronts from his reckless plan, this one on CTV.
Canada will be in a deficit for the next 4 years. Again, in a different kind of election, that sort of thing might shock a lot of people who were used to the spending from the Liberals and didn't seem to like that under Justin Trudeau. Mark Carney saying that is going to continue to a certain extent in light of some of his priorities. But is that enough to start moving the needle toward the Conservatives, Lydia?
Well, I think it might, because it's not just that he's saying he's not going to balance the books. He's going to add $250 billion to the debt.
Yes.
that is pretty shocking in and of itself, right? Like we were upset with the last fiscal statement, which was ballooning the deficit. This shoots past it. And so I think it sort of underlines the question of Mark Carney being an economist. You know, where's his credibility there? Because he keeps on saying that it wasn't his decisions that got us, or his advice that got us into the troubles that we're in now. Yet he's actually saying he's going to be spending more, and he has his, you know, his interesting arithmetic or accounting things where he's saying we're investing. I mean, the Liberals have always said they're investing. There's nothing new here. The fact remains that eventually the bills are going to come due, and we know that if you spend too much, it causes inflation, because we've just lived through that over the last couple of years. So I think that this is a real interesting gambit on the part of the Liberals, and I think that it's almost like they're taking the electorate for granted, and I think that's a little bit scary, because if we say it's okay for them to add $250 billion to the debt now, what happens if they break that promise and make it even higher?
Well said, Lydia Millian. These guys do break their promises. Justin Trudeau himself said it's just going to be a short, a small little $10 billion deficit. It ballooned to $42 billion. And now we've got this $1 trillion going to be added to the debt. My goodness. Anyway, so that is his costed plan. Now, we don't have a costed plan from Pierre yet. He said it's going to come soon. We're voting on Monday. So it'll be interesting to see what Pierre's costed plan is. So we'll see. And last but not least, Pope Francis has passed away.
All right, we're going to bring you some breaking news just coming into us now here in Al Jazeera, that Pope Francis, the first Latin American leader of the Roman Catholic Church, has died. Just to repeat that, an announcement being made by the Vatican in a video statement saying Pope Francis, who we know has been suffering health challenges, has now passed away. It ends an often turbulent reign that has reigned in the Vatican as he sought to overhaul the institution. But now the news coming from the Vatican, the leader of the Roman Catholic Pope, the Roman Catholic Church, Pope Francis, has died at 88 years old.
Yes, so Pope Francis has died at 88. Of course, speculation has already begun on who the next Pope
can really predict who the College of Cardinals will elect as the new Pope. But looking at the people some in the media are claiming are the leading contenders, look, the chances are it's probably going to be someone like Francis to the left of the Church, although it could be a radical change if the next Pope is the last man shown on that graphic. Cardinal Robert Serra from Guinea is a very senior conservative who has a warning for the West, unlike anything you have ever heard Francis say about illegal immigrants. Have a listen to this.
Vous savez, la plus grande inquiétude, c'est que l'Europe ne veut plus ou a perdu le sens de ses origines. Il a perdu ses racines. Or, un arbre qui n'a pas de racines, il meurt. Et j'ai peur que l'Occident meure.
Well, Cardinal Serra is 79, and that in his conservatism may be held against him. But is that the kind of Pope that you would like to see? One that's worried about the future of Western civilization and the fact that the Europe is letting in too many foreigners who probably don't share that same view?
Well, Andrew, I don't have a vote. Obviously, I'm more focused on the election in a couple of weeks' time here in Australia. But I do love Cardinal Serra. I've followed him for a long time. Obviously, if you watch the movie Conclave, Cardinal Serra would have no hope in that movie. But I'm not sure Hollywood really understands the inner workings of the Catholic Church. But look, I hope for someone that's salty. That's why I think the Christianity should be the salt of the earth. So, while I obviously had different views to Francis on lots of issues, he's somebody that stood for something. So that's what I want. I think the worst outcome would be a moderate Pope doesn't really take a position and is sort of confused and all over the shop. So yeah, like I love Cardinal Sarah, love some of the other. I've followed a lot of the others that are in the running, but yeah, I just like somebody who has a go. That's what I always like in politics and religion. And sometimes if you disagree with them, they generate heat and light, and that helps everybody.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. All eyes, all the screens will be waiting for the white smoke to come out when the Cardinals are voting and who they're going to have there. I don't usually talk about race matters because I always think that it should just be the best person. But it'll be interesting to see a pope from Guinea, a black pope. There have been black popes in the Catholic Church before. This was in the early days of the church, even before there was a schism between Orthodox and Catholic. The Bishop of Rome has been black. You see here, I just typed in Google. You'll see Victor I in the years 198 to 199. The earliest reigning African Pope, Victor I, was a native African whose episcopate lasted for 11 years. And then you have Pope Saint Miltiades, 314, was also an African. His papacy lasted for 3 to 4 years. But again, yeah, so 3. There's another one, Gelasius was Pope from 492 to 496. So there were early popes, early black popes in the early days. And then it's been a while. So it would be good to get back to that. But like I said, the best person win. I'm not Catholic myself, but I do. I'm not one of those Protestant Christians who bashes the Catholic Church. I think the Catholic Church has done a lot of good. I do think that some of the things they believe in, I don't subscribe to, but they do preach Jesus Christ. They do preach him as God, the Son of God, part of the second of the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. So they do speak a Christian message. All right, so guys, that's what I got today. Like I said, not too much meat, but just wanted to kind of make an appearance. You guys know that I am on the mend, and I will see you guys next time. Please like and subscribe. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.